Judgment, 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 final judgment, final judgment, final judgment, final
Welcome in everybody on this fantastic Friday morning. Looks like a lot of rain coming in. This is the Final Judgment. I am Tony Jigsaw Cutillo, and this is probably week 4 of me, week 5 being relegated to this room right here. Things are progressing. Looks like I'll be starting physical therapy on Monday, trying to get my leg back to being somewhat normal. Good news is, got the MRI, nothing torn, nothing ruptured, just a really, really bad strain, which has really hindered everything I've been able to do. Worst pain I've ever felt before in my life, to be honest with you. Full transparency. I just cannot wait to get back to some kind of normalcy. So again, right here, powered by Heat Ratio and Window Sports. Make sure you're following them as well. And brought to you, sponsored by SEObrand.com for all your digital marketing needs. More on that later in the show. So as always, some judgments here, like we always do here on the Final Judgment. I want to insert some fantasy football talk as well, because obviously that's what I do, right? So how is that fantasy football part of this show, right? So that's something that we're going to talk about today. But, judgment number 1 would be the Phillies doing it again. As the Phillies watch their playoff hopes dwindle away, we sit and wonder why. Why? Phillies, why are you doing this to us again? If it's not the coach, what is it? I want to hear from you. Again, judgment number 2 is going to be NFL wide receivers have basically taken over the NFL landscape, especially when it comes to fantasy football. But the thing is, I have to understand, why do people still value running backs so high? Like, it continually just talk about drafting running backs. I heard the push all in the preseason, and how did that work out for you? So we're going to get into some numbers when it comes to that. And then judgment number 3, who is Roger Maris Jr.? I'm sorry, but I sometimes things just bother me. And as Aaron Judge hits number 61 and looks to make history with 62, now some Roger Maris wants to come in and act like he's the commissioner of baseball. Okay, I'm sorry, but dude, at the end of the day, let's just keep it where it's at. Okay, hats off, Aaron Judge. But all of a sudden now you want to be the spokesperson for Major League Baseball. Nah, I don't think so. And then we'll get to some random judgments as well. And then I want to ask you about the AL MVP race between Ohtani and Aaron Judge, because I'm telling you something right now. It is special. And I think a lot of what Ohtani's been able to do has definitely been foreshadowed by the remarkable accomplishments of a guy named Aaron Judge. So let's get right into this first Phillies collapse. And as always, usually this show is Thursday nights at 10 p.m. Again, I decided to do it Friday morning. I was in a little bit of pain yesterday, so I waited till this morning to do it. Took a couple painkillers, and now I'm back to normal. So I'll be okay for about the next 30, 45 minutes, and then I'll be back to the ice and rest, and hopefully, get that leg back to, to where it should be in the next month or so. Philadelphia Phillies. I really, this is a head scratcher to me. It is, because if you're from Philadelphia, or even if you're not, here's the best thing about that show. You don't have to be from Philadelphia to understand this, but we here in Philadelphia understand this a lot more than anybody, because it just pains us Okay. But even from the national perspective, you see the national people out there looking at this team and asking the same questions. Why? Why, why we only scored 3 runs in that Chicago Cubs series? Why are we like 1 for 22 at runners in scoring position? I get it. We probably have some guys that aren't playing at full strength. I think Bryce Harper is still hurt. Nick Castellanos comes back. Oblique injuries are very, very touchy. I don't think he's 100%. I don't think Brandon Marsh is 100%, even though he's not the end all be all. But I just think a lot of these guys are not 100%. But still, what pains me is this lackluster effort I feel, right? The desire just isn't there. What happened to the clubhouse of everybody having a good time and everybody laughing and being jovial and rejoicing? Whatever happened to any of that? It's like all of a sudden it's just disappeared, right? All of a sudden it's just disappeared. And that's one of the things I don't understand for the life of me. Like, what happened? What happened? And it just continues to go down the same September slope. And I have no answers. I don't think anybody has any answers, right? Um, Different players, not all the same players. You have Aaron Nola, who everybody says collapses September, hasn't pitched terrible. No run support again. You got the Cole Hamels run support. Where's Bryce Harper been? Like I said, I still think he's hurt a little bit. Reese Hoskins the other day shows up, a guy I'm not always 100% fond of, but he shows up. Um, I mean, yes, are there teams that are better? Sure. Did Milwaukee collapse last night with a grand slam by the Miami Marlins to bring our lead back up to a game? Sure, but I don't really care. I don't want to win that. Like that's the thing. Like you need to go into the playoffs with a full momentum swing here. And unfortunately, this momentum swing is in the negative favor for the Philadelphia Phillies, and I don't understand why. I feel like, did they take their foot off the pedal and just say, you know what? Because that's all we heard about was this is a no brainer. This is a obvious solution that the Phillies are going to be in the playoffs no matter what. I mean, we heard that for months and months and months. No way they can lose this lead. It would be an ultimate collapse. The second playoff mark. I mean, everything we've talked about just pinpointed them to be in the playoffs. And right now, they're just not playing like a playoff team. And I said this before too. If they get to the playoffs, what are your expectations of them into the playoffs? I don't think they could be very great because right now they're playing like a team that shouldn't make the playoffs anyway, even if they do sneak in. I'm at a loss. I am. I don't want to sit here and get on this huge tangent, but I'm frustrated. Just like I think all you guys are frustrated. Guys, gals, whoever, young, old, doesn't matter. I think everybody is frustrated. People that have seen this team for a number of years collapse, people that have been jumped on this team. Listen, there's a reason why. I hate to say it, but we've asked on this show before, why are the fans not coming to the park? Why is Citizens Bank Park still empty? I think a lot of it could have to do with people weren't bought in. They had no faith. They didn't have hope. I think that's one of the biggest deals right now, and I think you're seeing it. But what do you do? Like that's the thing. Like, what do you do if you're the Philadelphia Phillies? What do you do? And what does this say for Rob Thompson? Right? Because again, I don't think you can pin this on Rob Thompson. Because again, this has happened every single year, no matter who the manager is. This goes back to like Pete McCannon. I have to tell you, this is something that's inbred into the Philadelphia Phillies culture. And I don't know. We've changed GMs, we've changed scouts, hitting coaches, pitching coaches, fielding coaches, managers, bench coaches, players. We got all new players. This was a big offseason, right? We got all new players. It's still happening. Why? Why? And I don't really know what to say. All I know is this Philadelphia team has really, really disappointed. Adam checking in. What's up, Adam? Yeah, Adam, help me out, man. I mean, anybody out there, whether it be in the comments, whether it be, if you're on Twitter, give me a tweet, put it in the comments for the actual show. If you're watching us on replay, like, What do you think it is? That's not what's the judgment here? I don't even understand what's the verdict. I don't think there is any verdict. I don't. I don't know what is going on. But all I know is something needs to change, and it's not going to change overnight. And I don't know how confident we could be in this team going forward. I'm sorry. My confidence level went from like all the way up here to all the way down, and just because no matter what they do, they just can't form this offensive momentum, and they're a very streaky team. And somebody said, I think his name was Gary on Twitter said to me yesterday, it's not fundamental baseball, and he's right. Gary was absolutely right. They're not playing fundamental baseball. But my issue is they were. They were playing fundamental baseball. We were talking about a team that runs all the time, more than any other team in Major League Baseball on the base pass. We were talking about last year. How did the Atlanta Braves win a World Series? It was by fundamentals, situational hitting, knowing how to run the bases, stellar defense. Well, what happened to our great defense? Our defense just fell apart over the last 6 weeks. I'm not getting that. I don't understand that. Adam says the players just stop playing in September. There is a wall that goes up, and they can't get over that hump for the playoffs. And that's the thing, Adam. I'm trying to figure out that wall. How do we get over this wall? How do we get over that hump? I don't think it's an easy answer. And I don't think it's an easy solution. It's a mindset. It fathoms me and boggles my mind that this mindset it still exists over the last like 10 years. It continues to exist. I don't know what it is. And you see the players are befuddled as well. The players are completely befuddled. They have no idea. You hear them in a press conference. They look just as lost as we are. So I'm just curious, man. I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what you think. My opinion, I think the Phillies are really going to look deep into this, as they go into the offseason. And I think they really have to figure out who's going to be their guy. And again, I don't know if this is a black eye to Rob Thompson or not, only because it's not like this is the first time this has happened. Not the first time this has happened. So maybe, and these players have tons of pride, right? You've brought in different players who have that experience, right? And again, you can't. The latest thing I want to do before we go on to the judgment number two is I don't want people blasting guys that are hurt. Like, listen, we could say all we want. You could tell me that Bryce Harper hasn't been great. You could tell me that Bryce Harper hasn't shown up in big games. Listen, stop with all that nonsense. This dude has been playing with a UCL tear on his elbow for the entire year. This dude came back early, okay, and busted his ass to get back from a broken thumb, from surgery. He did everything he could to be there for this team. For you to put this on Bryce Harper, any fan out there that's tweeting out in Philadelphia or billing Bryce Harper, dude, you need to throw in your Phillies fan card, put it in the trash, and never show up at that park again. Again, another people that need to delete their Twitter accounts, delete their social media, and just duct tape their mouth shut because they don't deserve to have an opinion. Bryce Harper is the same guy you were touting for hitting grand slams, upper deck game winning shots. It's the same guy. Don't give me the nonsense that all of a sudden he can't lead a team. This dude is hurt. He's trying his best to give you everything he has, and I 100% support that effort. So I am never going to sit here and tell you that this is on Bryce Harper's watch. This is on an entire team. This is on an entire team. This is on guys like Gene Segura. This is on guys like Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber, who has the experience. Listen, I get it. I mean, they just have to find that next level, and they're just not finding it right now. So just a shame all the way around to see what's going on. And Adam, absolutely. Adam says Bryce Harper is the hardest working player in Major League Baseball. I definitely agree with that 100%. So again, what do you think happens? I want to hear it. Right? Put that in the comments as we go on with this show. What do you think happens going forward? What do you think the issue is? And how does it be, how is it fixed? And honestly, if they actually do sneak it into the playoffs, do you kind of like, is it tainted in the sense that, you're really disappointed at how it ended and actually how they got in? It's a shame to say you're disappointed in how they got to the playoffs, but unfortunately, I think that's where we're at. So let's move on to judgment number two. and this is going to kind of be, I'm going to stay on baseball here. Okay. Let's stay on baseball. Obviously it's Friday. We get ready for football. I'm going to talk a little fantasy at the end, a little random judgment as we always do. Again, make sure you're following the Final Judgment with Tony Cutillo on YouTube, the Final Judgment with Tony Cutillo on podcast. Any subscribers help. We're up to 880. So we're really flowing along. I'd love to get to 1,000. We've kind of been stagnant. So hopefully we can move a little more. Going to have some really cool guests on next week. I got Kayla Santiago coming on with me on Monday. Talk a little NFL. Also talk a little bit collegiate sports and her rise into the sports media world. She does a lot of work for the Delmarva Sports Network, sports anchor, up and coming. Can't wait. You see her on Jacob Sports a lot. So I can't wait to get her on the show. But who is Roger Maris Jr.? Can I just ask you that? Who is Roger Maris Jr.? I listen. This is going to be a dual segment here. It's going to be a Jigsaw venting a little bit because people just burn me up and annoy the hell out of me sometimes. Okay, number one, hats off Aaron Judge. He fought, after being stagnant, he's getting the Barry Bonds treatment, getting walked or pitched around him. Finally gets a couple pitches to hit. Happens in Toronto. But he finally did it. Hits number 61. Couldn't happen to a better guy. I really like this dude's character. I like the way he goes about the game. But, obviously, he's going to hit number 62. I think we know that. But who the hell was Roger Maris Jr. to come out and just completely, banish Barry Bonds and Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa? Listen, you can think whatever you want, okay? But you're not Bud Selig, okay? You're not Rob Freeman. You're just not. You at the end of the day, you're not the end all be all when it comes to Major League Baseball, okay? So this guy to come out and just basically say, or I just call him Rob Manfred. I'm sorry, Freeman. I'm thinking of somebody else, but I'm so mad. I'm messing names up. But Roger Maris comes out, Roger Maris Jr. Obviously they want to be there. They want to be there when he ties his father's American League season home run record of 61. He's going to want to be there when he probably breaks it. But this is the first time he's done. He watched Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, and Barry Bonds, right? However, we all know that the record could be tainted. I understand that, okay? But for him to come out and be like, I think this is his quote. I think it means a lot, not just for me. I think it means a lot for a lot of people. He's clean. He's a Yankee. He plays the game the right way. Stop it. Honestly, he says, I think it gives people a chance to look at somebody who should be revered for hitting 62 home runs and not just a guy who did it in the American League. He should be revered for being the actual single season home run champ. That's really who he is if he hits 62. And I think that needs to happen. I think baseball needs to look at the records, and I think baseball should do something. First of all, Mr. Maris Jr., you're not a part of Major League Baseball. You're not the spokesperson for the league. You're not the spokesperson for the Yankees. You're not the commissioner. Stop it. Okay, this is what bothers me with people. Okay, enjoy it. Listen, yes, okay, great. He did it, and I love it, right? I love it because it's part of the game, not because he's killing somebody else, or burying them off the charts or banishing them from baseball. Okay, I don't care what you say. Barry Bonds did what he did. These guys did what they did, and it was exciting as hell, and it was fun. And we should always remember that. But for you to come out and all of a sudden just act like you need to put your stamp on the game and you need to put your words out there like he's the real guy. First of all, how do you know? Okay. How do you know, Mr. Maris? How do you know? And again, I 100% think Aaron Judge is 100% clean. But how the hell do you know that he is? You come out with this statement that he did it the right way. How do you know that? Like, you can't just make these callous statements, right? This is, you all talk about proof. Well, there's proof. Okay, give me proof then. Listen, I love Aaron Judge, and he is a man beast. I love what he did, and I am not saying that he did anything wrong. What I'm saying is you put your face out there, you put your words out there, and you make a statement like doing things the right way. Who are you to say he did? And who are you to say they didn't? You're nobody, right? You're nobody in that sense. If you're the commissioner of Major League Baseball, if you're the guy doing the testing, if you're the guy doing the regulations, then fine, you can speak up. But until that, man, just enjoy it. Okay, say we salute Aaron Judge. We can't wait. As a Yankee and as a fan and being part of the nostalgia factor of the New York Yankees, that's fine. But you come out with all this nonsense, it's ridiculous. Okay, it's ridiculous. My man Coop checking in. What's up, Coop? A long time, man. We got to get together, man. For real. We got to get together. We got some stories for each other, I'm pretty sure. Adam says Judge plays the game like Albert Pujols the right way. And listen, they're the statements I don't mind. Plays games the right way. But when you come out and you're basically interrogating everybody else, okay, and you're basically acting like 100% that this player and everything he's done and ever did was clean. It's nonsense. It's nonsense, and it really bothers me. Okay, I'm a Barry Bonds guy. I'm always going to be a Barry Bonds guy, no matter what happened, no matter what the steroid issue is, no matter what was proved, no matter what was unproven. Doesn't matter. What he did is something that'll never ever be done again. And you could tell me 100 times over that he did it because of roids. At the end of the day, this dude still had to hit a baseball, and he was hitting baseballs off of pitchers that were doing the same damn thing in an era that was flooded with illegal substance abuse. Okay, when it comes to Android and Adderall and steroids, I get it. I do. I understand it. I accept it. But I'm not ready to just throw that whole era out the window. You want to put it in a separate wing, fine. But what they did was historic. And for this guy, Roger Maris Jr., to come out and just completely blast it like he's the end all be all to me, listen, it's just ridiculous and it gets under my skin. That being said, I want to know who you think MVP is in the AL, because I think what's happening is as great as Aaron Judge has been, he is overshadowed what Shohei Ohtani has been able to do. Shohei Ohtani is putting up eye-popping stats, not only on the mound, but in the batter's box. 2.35 ERA, 213 strikeouts, 161 innings pitched. When he bats, 29 doubles, 34 home runs, and 93 RBIs. We will never, ever in our lifetime see this again. Why is it Roger Maris Jr. breaking out to Shohei Ohtani saying, he did it the right way? Why isn't he coming out and saying that? Stop taking the easy target, Roger. Enough with Roger. I'm done blasting Roger Maris Jr. But while Judge is a contention for the Triple Crown, which he is, right? And we all know he's right there. Who gets the MVP? Can there be co-MVPs? I mean, it's almost like it should be a co-MVP, right? Because what both these guys are doing is, they're bringing excitement back to the game, which has been sorely needed. Okay, I love watching the flash photography in the stands when Aaron Judge comes up. You see it with Shohei Ohtani taking a no-hitter into the eighth again. Listen, you're never ever going to see that again, ever. We're never going to witness what we're witnessing right now from Shohei Ohtani. And I think it's just not getting enough press only because of what Aaron Judge has been able to do. And that's because Aaron Judge has been so good. My man Brian checking in, he says, if Bonds, McGuire, and those guys didn't do what they did, baseball was going to die. Do I think they cheated? Yes. But this guy, Maris Jr., just needs to relax. You're right. Exactly. Who the hell is he? I get that his dad's a Hall of Famer, one of the best ever. I get it, but that doesn't make you the corporate mouthpiece of Major League Baseball. And yes, I completely agree. Bonds and McGuire did what they did. I'm not denying that. You'll never hear me say they didn't do anything to cheat the game. But what they did, listen, baseball was dead. It was dead. After the strike in 94, 95, the lockout, it was dead. Completely dying. There was nobody showing up. People were like, dude, I'm not going to the park. That race for the record brought people back. Barry Bonds brought people back. All those guys that did all that stuff, it brought people back. And that's the most important thing. And I think that no matter what, that needs to be talked about. Brian says, after the Phillies, they need a clubhouse, not nice guy, someone to get on these guys. Athletes now, all they want to do is be friends. Sometimes they need to be called out. That's a great point because, a couple years ago, before they had Bryce Harper, I was a big, I was killing Reese Hoskins for not being not being that guy because he'll never be that guy, right? At that time, Reese Hoskins is what they had. And I was like, Reese Hoskins is not the face of a franchise. That's just not him. He's not a clubhouse leader. That's not him. Bryce Harper is a clubhouse leader, but Bryce Harper is not calling these guys out. At least I don't think he is. Right. Maybe, who I think, Brian, who I think is that guy? I think it's JT Realmuto, but he's not doing it. I think guys respect JT as being, kind of like the veteran of the game. Even a guy like Schwarber is a guy whose fire we need in the clubhouse. You need that dog mentality, right? You need that. Listen, every now and then it's okay. Listen, I'm going to be straight up, man. You guys hear me all the time. I coach 15 and 16-year-old boys, and sometimes I got to challenge them. Sometimes I got to be that guy that nobody wants to hear. Like again, pardon the language, but I've said to some of my players before, I'm like, yo, I know you think I'm a dick. It is, but at the end of the day, I'm challenging you because I know you're better than this. And guess what? What do? They go out, they perform because it gives them that backwards confidence, right? Definitely need somebody. Definitely, sometimes you need a respected dick. I gotta get on their asses. I love it. Brian, so true, man. You got to get that guy. You don't have that fire, and that's the problem right now. They don't have that fire. They really don't. Who has that fire is a guy like Aaron Judge. Who we don't want to have that fire is Roger Maris Jr. Uh, so again, I when we get to the AL MVP race, it's like 6 to 7 games left. Very, very interesting as it comes down to the wire here. I'm very curious to see who gets this award. But again, it's been exciting. Whether you want to say they did it the right way, they did it wrong, doesn't matter. It's just exciting for the sport. Albert Pujols is exciting. Listen, here's the thing, like, you can't make these callous statements about we know guys did things the right way because we don't know if they've been in the game for so long, if they've been the entire time. Right now, yes, testing the way they do things obviously is a lot different. I had Dan Levit on talking about innovation and cheating, international bulk. Make sure you go out and get that book. Fantastic book. I had him on last week, a guy from MLB Network, and he was talking about the technologies in the game and talking about the steroid use that was predominant back in the day. And again, like he said, there's testing right now. So the testing is obviously more rampant than it was back then. So again, not to get on a long-winded horse here, but Roger Maris Jr., please tell him, just do me a favor. Stop. Just stop. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the record. But we don't need your corporate jargon all over the screen, okay? So for me, for my money, I still think Aaron Judge wins MVP just for, again, because what he's been able to do at the plate. Remember, we were just talking about a few years ago, guys hitting 25 to 30 home runs was a huge accomplishment. So now we get a guy who's going to hit 61, 62, 63. And again, that's got to be a tremendous accomplishment based on the way the game has been played right now. So let's get and again, I want to hear this in the comments, right? Give me in the comments, whether it's live right here, whether you're watching this on replay on YouTube, make sure you get in the comments and let me know what you feel and how you feel about this and what your judgment is. As always, make sure you're following at Win Daily Sports, at Heat Ratio Sports, Heat Ratio Sports for all your local and national sports needs, at Win Daily Sports for all your sports betting and DFS fantasy needs. And again, proud brought to you by sponsors, SEObrand.com. These guys, again, we just talked about the analytics of the game and the testing, but talking about testing, if you're a small business, a big business, an in between business, doesn't matter. These guys, they take cold sale calls all day. And well, I should say they take general lead calls all day and turn them into sales. But what they really do is they test your system, in a sense, your analytical system of your website, of your YouTube page, of your social media accounts. They give you a sense of where the traffic is coming and going, and number one, where to redirect that traffic, if it's good traffic or bad traffic, how you want to build that traffic. Obviously, traffic, what that does is it brings more eyes. Those eyes generate more calls. which these guys take, and then those calls, what they do is generate into sales. And that's the most important thing because listen, whether it be getting a sponsorship, whether it be if you're a contractor, getting that next house call, whether it's, whether you're painting ceilings, whether you're doing electrical work, whether you're a business that needs promotion, in a sense of, let me get out there and let everybody know who we are. And the only way you do that is you direct your traffic for your website and your page. So again, these guys have been doing it for 15 years. You'd be surprised at what they can do. Go check them out, SEObrand.com, and make sure you tell them that Tony Jigsaw Cutillo sent you and you heard this ad right here on the Final Judgment, SEObrand.com. Fantasy football. Fantasy football. If you don't know, obviously, I'm all in the fantasy, right? The reason why I did this show is because I want to just not be the fantasy guy. I wanted to give my opinion on things like Aaron Judge and Roger Maris Jr., my opinion on things like the Philadelphia sports scene and the national sports scene as well. Bringing guests on, whether it be wrestling, whether it be hockey, whether it be bowling, right? Whether it be authors, entertainment, all kinds of stuff. That's what I've always wanted to do. I love being an interviewer. If you don't know, I love the microphone. And obviously with my injury right now, this is all I can do. But, shout out anyway. Rest in peace, Coolio, right? Coolio, fantastic voyage. Gangsta's Paradise, 59 years old. Looks like cardiac arrest. I'm not 100% sure. Don't want to speculate, but just one of those rappers and one of those songs that obviously I've gravitated towards when I was a kid growing up, when I was a teenager in my late teens, early 20s. I think we always know, we remember the fantastic voyage, right? We remember Gangsta's Paradise, great movie. Michelle Pfeiffer as the teacher, great soundtrack, obviously by Coolio. We remember that song, fantastic. Also, rest in peace to him, another guy going too soon. But why is everybody thinking about going too soon? The drafting that happened of the running back position in fantasy football is something that was unexplained. Again, if you've been following Sirius Satellite Radio every Sunday night from 9 to 11, caught me co-hosting my man Jason on the Win Daily Show on Sirius XM. Now we're on prime time Saturdays from 5 to 8. You got Jason, you got Sia, you get the Jigsaw Hour, 3 hours of primetime football. We consistently talked about why people are valuing this running back position so high when this was a year of the mid-range. And what I want to start doing on this show is inject a little fantasy at the end of this because it's Fantasy Friday, right? That whether I do the show Thursday night or Friday morning, it's going to be Fantasy Friday. I'm going to give you a couple names to look out for, going into the week end to try to win some money, whether it be on your season league, season long league, whether it be on your DFS lineups, whatever it is, just guys you want to look at. But I don't know if you guys realize this, but obviously it's a passing league, right? And what we've seen from receivers is like no other. Cooper Kupp is just, listen, he's on another level, right? Justin Jefferson, even though he's hit a little bump in the road, they'll get back on it. I get it, right? You just watched last night in the Cincinnati-Miami game, two guys, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase didn't have his great game. T. Higgins, unbelievable game. But you see what these guys have been able to do from a statistical standpoint, and what that does is formulate into fantasy, especially when you're in those point per reception leagues, is give you those positive point production, right? And that's what I talk about. This is constant production from the receiver. This is just NFL talk, fantasy talk as well, where what these guys are going to do. They're going to produce week in and week out. And those top tier running backs, whether it be injuries, I said this before and I'll say it again. People that drafted Jonathan Taylor, we're fixated on this guy is going to get constant points every single week because he's going to get 20 to 25 carries. Right? Like that's not, something that's always constant. That's you're turning it, this position, the running back position in football is turning into a touchdown dependent position. Right. And I said this before and I'll say it again. Listen, you take Cooper Kupp's numbers. In order for Jonathan Taylor to get Cooper Kupp's numbers, or Derrick Henry for that matter, they have to score and they have to get 25 plus touches. In today's NFL, 25 plus touches, whether you have a 1 or 2 running back system, just with the way offenses are deployed and the way game plans are scripted, it's something that doesn't always happen. But what always does happen is the wide receivers are always involved heavily in the game. 85 to 90%, 95% snap count. And the proof is right there. Top 5 receivers, I'm gonna tell you this again. Top 5 receivers this year, up to this week, not including week 4, 105 points higher than the top 5 running backs overall. 105 points. The mid-range from 5 to or from 11 to 15. Guess what? Only 2 points higher, but still higher, which means you could draft your running backs late and still be highly successful in fantasy football. The tide is changing. The tide is changing immensely. So why everybody didn't hop on that wagon this year, I'm not sure. But I'm telling you right now, they're going to hop on it next year. They're all going to hop on it next year. Again, remember these words. PPP, and not OPP for Naughty by Nature. PPP, positive point production. I say this all the time. The way you win fantasy football games is you get guys that give you positive points, not guys that go up and down, right? I talk about that all the time. That's another reason why I didn't draft Derrick Henry. Another reason why I didn't draft Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey, I was highly concerned about the way he approaches the game now. Again, Derrick Henry, touchdown dependent. Jonathan Taylor, stud, but again, has to get those 25 plus touches in order to be that number 1 guy. Cooper Kupp is going to get you 10 to 15 targets every single week. If his catch to target ratio is 85 to 90%, he's going to be in positive point production every single week. And that's what you want. That's how you win games. That's how you win games. Gene checking in. Wire to Wire podcast. What's up, buddy? How you doing, man? Adam checking in again says, I got Fournette Singletary from the Bills, and they have good numbers so far. And you probably drafted Seven Singletary later. And you probably drafted Leonard Fournette later because you were able to get that top number 1 wide receiver is where you go. For me this week, when you look at the mid-range, again, I'm going to give you 2, brought to you by Win Daily Sports. I'm going to have a promo code Win Big. Make sure you use that code Win Big. Get your first week free. Gene says, I got Swift and Chubb. Was happy that I wasn't happy when Swift got hurt. I have Swift too, man. I drafted Swift and Barkley. Very, very happy. And I drafted mid-range guys like a Christian Kirk later on, who I was touting all offseason to get. He was going to earn his money. Christian Kirk was going to earn his money. Dougie P knows how to run an offense, a young offense, to give them confidence. And again, amazing what Christian Kirk has been able to do. Cooper Kupp. See, Adam got Cooper Kupp, and that's what I was telling everybody. I told everybody if I was drafted number 1 in a fantasy football league, PPR, my number 1 pick would be Cooper Kupp. 100%. And that's why. Positive point production. So 2 names. Let's do this. 2 names I'm going to give you this week. And again, I say this all the time. Now, don't forget, you catch me on the Fantasy Firebox right here, Win Daily and Heat Ratio Sports on Saturday mornings for the triple threat. Again, the triple threat for showdown lineups, Sunday, Mondays, and Thursdays. You can catch me doing the showdown. I do a triple threat kind of format. Saturdays on Sirius. Catch me on Sirius from 5 to 8, an hour in that time slot for prime time. And then you catch me on Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. on Jacob Sports on This Week in Football, Pat Callahan, giving you my, fantasy takes, my jigsaw pieces, so to speak. But I caught a couple jigsaw pieces right here for the final judgment. Looking ahead this week, I took last week as a breakout game. For my money, was a breakout game because it gave you a positive point production again for those 15 points. But I'm going to go Breece Hall again. Breece Hall was a guy everybody was talking about, Michael Carter. That Breece Hall, I know everybody was jumping on the wagon early. I said temper the expectations. Eventually, he's going to get those plays, and he's getting the catches, 6, 7, 8 targets out of the backfield. Being very, very positive when it comes to points. So another guy I think that is being overlooked is a guy you can get in your lineup pretty cheap this week. Make sure you look at again on that. And I'm going to go with the unsung hero of Daniel Jones to get the ball to my man, Richie James Jr. Listen, Unfortunate injury to Sterling Shepard. Kadarius Toney looks like he can never stay healthy. Kenny Galladay, I don't know what's going on with him mentally. I'm not hitching the wagon to David Sims, but what I'm doing is I'm going all in, okay, on Richie James Jr. Again, check him out. He's very low owned. Ownership is going to be low for him. I think he has a really good week against the Chicago defense that probably couldn't stop any one of us right now, just not playing well. So again, my two guys, I'm gonna give you two guys every week, every Friday on this show. Two guys brought to you by Win Daily Sports for the fantasy football segment. I tell you right now, Brees Hall, Richard James Jr., check them out. If you play DFS, they're going to be low owned, low value. Even in season long, I think Richie James Jr. and Brees Hall are going to be good plays when we're talking about your flex spot or your pivot position. Again, this is the final judgment right here with Tony Jigsaw Cutillo. Make sure you give me a follow at Judge Jigsaw on Twitter, at Judge Jigsaw on Instagram. The final judgment on YouTube. Make sure you're following that page, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the show, get involved. Brought to you by Heat Ratio and Win Daily Sports, and most importantly, the flagship sponsor of the show, SEObrand.com. Make sure, again, you're looking at sponsorships. You know, we have tons of packages just waiting and willing to sign over, to help you out, to help us out, a mutual relationship. Adam says, great show, Tony. Keep bringing the heat. Adam, I'm trying. But the heat can only last so long because now I got to go from heat to ice because my leg is absolutely killing me. So, as always, everybody, make sure you stay safe. Make sure you stay healthy. Don't forget, next week, big show plan. Got a couple guests playing. I can tell you right now, locked in on Monday's show. We are going to have the excellent knowledge of Kayla Santiago, up and coming sports anchor from the Delmarva sports scene. We're going to be talking about NFL. We're going to be talking about collegiate sports, and we're going to talk about the rise in media. In sports media. It's a question that everybody asks. So anybody out there looking to get into sports media, I have the perfect person to talk about the highs and lows and how hard you have to strive in order to get to that pinnacle, which is where Kayla is starting to hit right now. But like I end the show all the time, man, obviously make sure you follow, make sure you stay safe and stay healthy. But some people have takes, some people have thoughts. But on this show, you get the final judgment.